You know, we spend so much of our lives running from endings. We see them as failures, right? As losses, as the final absolute word. But what if we've got it all wrong? What if an ending isn't really a wall, but a doorway? Today, we're going to dig into a story that really challenges our deepest fears about letting go, all to find the incredible creative power that's hiding inside every single conclusion.
And our guide on this journey is, well, a little unusual. And his advice is pretty cryptic. Don't look at the blade, look at the handle. Now, this strange warning is the central puzzle we're about to unpack together. Think of it as a huge hint that where we choose to focus our attention, especially during those times of huge change, makes all the difference in the world.
So, our story kicks off with a problem, and it's a problem I think a lot of us can relate to. It's that feeling of having so much potential, but it just can't seem to take root. Sound familiar? And this right here just perfectly illustrates that feeling of being stuck. See, our protagonist, Charles, he's got this amazing idea. It's a perfect little seed, but nothing's happening. And why? Because the soil of his mind is already packed solid. It's just choked with the weeds of old projects, outdated ideas about who he is, and habits that honestly just don't serve him anymore. A new thing can't grow in a space that hasn't been cleared out.
So what's a guy like Charles supposed to do? Well, he doesn't just sit around and wait. No, he decides to confront this stagnation head-on. He sends out an invitation to the one force he knows is powerful enough to clear the way for something entirely new.
This slide just nails our collective fear, doesn't it? Charles reaches for the death card, and our gut reaction, our first instinct, is probably everything you see on the left. It's a final stop, it's a loss, it's the end. But in the world of this story, and in tarot symbolism, it means the exact opposite. Death isn't a stop sign, it's a gateway. It's the transition you absolutely must pass through to get to whatever's next. The scene of the summoning itself is just so atmospheric. You can almost feel the air change, smelling like dry leaves and old earth. A mirror twists and darkens into black obsidian, and out of it steps this iconic figure, a skeleton in black armor. But he's not carrying a scythe. No, he's carrying a black banner with one single powerful symbol on it, a white rose. Every single detail here is meant to shift our perspective away from fear and toward, well, fascination.
And then death speaks. But it's not a threat. It's a diagnosis. And it's aimed not just at Charles, but at all of us. You are afraid to lose what you no longer need. Just let that sink in for a second. We pour so much energy into protecting things, ideas, jobs, even identities that are already obsolete. The fear isn't really about losing something precious. It's about the discomfort of letting go of what's familiar, even when it's the very thing holding us back.
So this brings us right to the heart of it all, this interview with death, where the profound and honestly surprisingly creative wisdom of endings gets laid out for us to see.
And here is the absolute key. Death's job isn't termination, it's transition. It's that uncomfortable, kind of messy, but completely essential space between what you were and what you're about to become. It's not the destination, it's the journey between two different places.
Wow, I mean, what a powerful way to put it. You literally cannot have a sunrise unless the sunset clears the sky first. This figure isn't the enemy of life, it's the midwife of the new. And think about it. A midwife doesn't cause death, they help bring about a birth. In the exact same way, this force of ending is what makes every single new beginning possible.
You know, this whole process actually has a name in psychology and philosophy: ego death. Yeah, it sounds pretty terrifying, I get it. But it's such a fundamental part of growth. It's that moment you consciously decide to let go of an old identity that just doesn't fit anymore, like shedding an old skin, to make room for a truer, more authentic version of yourself to come through.
And here's that concept in action. For Charles to really truly step into his new identity as a creator, the old comfortable labels like Charles the accountant, they just have to fade away. They aren't who he is anymore. They're just ghosts taking up space that the living, breathing creator desperately needs.
Okay, and this is the moment where all those symbols we saw earlier just click into place. That white rose on the banner, it's not for mourning. It represents the pure, raw potential of a blank page. The two towers in the background, they're a gateway to what's next. And the number 13, which so many of us fear, is actually the number of transformation and rebirth. Every little detail points away from finality and shoots straight towards renewal.
All right, so Charles has this profound new wisdom,
But, insight without action is basically just trivia. So now, we get to see him apply this lesson in the most direct and probably the most difficult way possible.
This right here is the climax of his journey. He goes back to his manuscript, his big creative project, and he does the unthinkable. He deletes 60 pages. 60. 60 pages of work he'd been clinging to, work that was probably fine, but it wasn't serving the real soul of the story. This is the act of wielding the scythe yourself, of, as they say, killing your darlings.
And here is the beautiful paradox at the very heart of this whole thing. In that moment of letting go, it probably felt like a huge loss, but he wasn't actually losing his work. By cutting away all the clutter, the true heart of his story finally had room to beat. By subtracting, he gained clarity, he gained purpose. He wasn't destroying his work, he was finding it. So this story of Charles is an amazing metaphor. But now, the camera turns. The focus shifts from him to you. It's time to see how this wisdom might apply in our own lives.
So here's the question for you. What's the clutter in your soil? What old habits or outdated ideas about yourself, or maybe even dead dreams are you still holding on to? What are the things you're so afraid to lose, even though deep down you have a feeling you don't really need them anymore? Because the mercy, the gift of these necessary endings is evolution. It's growth. The real enemy isn't change, no matter how uncomfortable it might feel in the moment. The real enemy is stagnation, that slow rot that starts to set in when nothing new is ever allowed to grow.
And this brings us full circle, right back to that parrot's advice. Don't look at the blade, look at the handle. Stop focusing on the pain of what's being cut away. Focus on the fact that you are the one holding the tool of transformation. So don't fear the ending, fear the life that never ever changes.